Milan Design Week is not really a fair anymore. It's the world's most beautiful intelligence network. For 1 week, the city turns into a living map of global taste. Legacy Italian design houses, avant-garde designers, press previews, private installations and parties where the design world gathers. I've been coming to Milan Design Week for more than 5 years now. And what I found here is always bigger than furniture. It made me a better brand builder. This year, I spent the whole week inside press previews, private showcases, interviews with some of my favorite designers, and the restaurants, pasticcerias, listening bars, and hidden spaces that shape the real culture around design. I want to show you the best Italian design brands and explain the hidden brand codes behind them. Because great design is never just about the object, it's about the belief system behind it. This is the insider version of Milan Design Week most people never get to see. Let's start. The best journeys in Milan always start with a panini. A quick stop, a little reset, and then we go straight into my classic Design Week ritual, starting the week at Rossana, Orlandi. Milan is one of my favorite European cities, and in this film I will show you why. But before arriving, we made one small stop, Piccolo Pan, a famous little cafe nearby for our first Italian coffee of the day. Rossana Orlandi Gallery is located on one of the most beautiful Milanese streets, carrying the true spirit of the city. I have been coming to Rossana Orlandi for years now, and somehow this building and its garden feel more like home to me than anywhere else in Milan. There's a real community feeling here, and I think so much of that comes from Rossana herself, from her energy, her curiosity, and the way she brings people together. I started my tour with Italian designer Roberto Sironi. His practice is built around archaeology, time, and material memory. His collection, Future Memories, is made with sansui, a century-old Japanese carpentry workshop. These objects use old Japanese pine beams from 200-year-old kominka houses, originally joined without metal. For Sironi, this is not material, it's a personal design language. What I love about Rossana's ground floor is that it changes completely every year. New designers, new countries, new materials. Names I have never heard in my life. Most galleries play it safe. They bring back the same artist with a slightly different color and call it a new collection. Rossana does the opposite. Every year, completely new names. 2 years ago, the same floor taught me more about Korean craft than anything I had seen before. Rossana Orlandi is not a normal gallery. It feels like a living organism. The building is a former Thai and foulard factory. Gallery, shop, courtyard, office, all in one space. Everything bleeds into everything. You enter through the garden, move through the rooms, climb the stairs, discover objects, people, textures, accidents. And somehow the whole place teaches you what Rossana believes in. Design is discovery, not decoration. Every year during Design Week, this courtyard turns into something like a festival. People gather here in a way I don't experience anywhere else. Designers, collectors, strangers, all mixed together. No VIP sections, no separation, just the right people finding each other. From Rossana, we move to the next two Italian design icons, CC Tapis and Fornasetti. What CC Tapis did here with Fornasetti is basically a brand study you can walk on. Piero Fornasetti found a photograph of opera singer Lina Cavalieri in a 19th century magazine. He never met her, but he painted her face over 400 times across his entire life. One face, 400 variations, and that single obsession built one of the most recognizable design brands in the world. In today's language, he was a brand builder using the tools of a printmaker. Because real brand building is not about doing everything. It's about saying no to a million things until one or two codes become unmistakably yours. That's why Fornasetti still feels alive today. On the way, I passed through my favorite square in the world, a perfect Milanese provocation before entering another design universe, the More Gallery. The More Gallery is one of the best examples of what brand building can become now. Not by creating everything from scratch. Sometimes the strongest brand is built by finding, selecting, and placing things with extreme taste. Because curation is not just collecting beautiful things. Curation is editing meaning. The More understand this perfectly. Their world is not about furniture, it's about how a room becomes a point of view, where the reference itself is the brand. How the past can feel desirable again without becoming nostalgic. And in today's world, where everyone is trying to produce more, the More reminds you the real brand is not what you make, it is what you choose, it is what you refuse, it is how you build a world where every object feels like it belongs to the same dream. On the way to dinner, we passed through a Milanese scene that felt like an old Pet Shop Boys song, Honey Nero. Girls, boys, art, pleasure. We arrived at Casa Fiori in Brera. After a full day of walking through other people's worlds, sitting down with good food and good company becomes the most important part of the whole experience. Because here, taste is not only something you see, it is something you live. And of course, no design weekday is complete without a proper gelato. This is not optional, this is Italian law. The next day starts at Panzera, one of the old Milanese pasticceria brands. In Milan, if your morning does not start in a place like this, with coffee machines, plates, voices, and people standing at the bar, your day is basically cursed. You cannot claim Milan without this ritual. Milan is a rationalist city. The beauty here was never about decoration. It's an intellectual matter, like a designer who never explains the work but expects you to understand it eventually. This city does not seduce you, it earns your respect. Even the names of the streets are like brand names. Molteni & C, founded in 1934, still family owned 90 years later. A family so embedded in Italian design that they were among the founders of Salone del Mobile itself. Pin-Up magazine called them your favorite designer's favorite designer. What makes Molteni a masterclass in brand building is how they choose one great designer per generation. Luca Mera, Aldo Rossi, Jean Nouvel, Foster Partners, now Vincent van Duysen. Each voice became the next chapter, and those voices became the brand's history. When you do that for 90 years, your brand story and the story of Italian design became the same thing. Artameus is the place that changed how I think about brand building. Every year they transform Palazzo Donizetti into something called L'Appartamento, a 19th century palazzo that is normally closed to the public. This year, 5 studios were invited to reimagine 5 Italian cities as rooms: Venice, Florence, Rome, Naples, and Palermo. Everything inside, every object, every surface is made by Italian artisans from Artameus network. The craft is the collection. And then I arrived at the room that stayed with me longest, the Gashot collection. John and Christine Gashot didn't just show finished furniture, they showed how they think, their diaries, their mood boards, the schedules before the decisions. They recreated their own New York studio inside this palazzo and invited you into the process. Most designers keep that part hidden. They show you the result and protect the mess behind it. But Gershot opened the door completely, and that transparency is one of the most powerful things you can do as a brand. Because when someone sees how you think, not just what you make, they don't just admire the work, they trust you. After Artameus, I went to have lunch at Santa Lucia. I've been coming here since 2014, when I was building the luxury streetwear brand Le Benjamin, and we were launching from Milan Fashion Week. Back then, only locals knew this place. Now it's one of the most popular tables in the city. But the restaurant hasn't changed. Same Art Deco lights from the 1930s, same mirrors, same chairs. Over 400 photographs on the walls, signed by everyone from Josephine Baker to Marcello Mastroianni. Santa Lucia has been open since 1929. That's what a legacy brand looks like. Not a rebrand every 3 years. Just consistency so deep that the world eventually comes to you. I arrived at Barovia Rentoso to meet one of my favorite Italian designers, Luca Nichetto. What I admire about Luca is that he never just designs an object. When he collaborates with a legacy brand, he transforms the whole world around it. The presentation, the typography, the way you experience the brand changes completely. I first discovered his work at 3 Days of Design in Copenhagen at the Ant Tradition headquarters. He spoke alongside the creative director Els, and I could feel it immediately. This is a designer who thinks like a brand builder. Since then, I have followed his work around the world for years. What makes Luca rare is that he refuses to be one thing. He designs lamps, marble sinks, bags, glass, furniture. He keeps expanding what a designer is allowed to be. And this is not new. Charles and Ray Eames designed furniture that changed the world, but they also directed over 100 films. That's actually how I first discovered them. The Aalto family in Finland designed houses, chairs, boats, and glassware. They gave different brand names to different projects. They made films to show how their objects lived in real life. They even designed city squares. All of this back in the 1930s through the 1970s. But today, most designers have become conservative. Their brands are predictable. They stay inside one lane and never leave it. That's why I wanted to ask Luca directly, how conscious were you about building your personal brand?
Consciously, I don't think I was conscious about what I was doing from the beginning. I never work in another design studio. I'm just, make thing that I believe is right without to follow somehow a pattern that someone imposed to you. And the thing is, this kind of freedom to unknown sort of thing allowed me to work closely and take much more inspiration from brands, from my clients. And slowly I understand that designers are a brand, even if they don't know. And the last 10, 15 years, I think with the new medium that we have, this has become even more stronger because, it's a little bit like musician with Spotify. This happened also through the social media related to design. And it's also true that these new tools that allow you to expose what you are doing, etc., you need to understand what you can do because it's a jungle. And there is so much thing and it's so much faster than, for example, before. So you need to find the way that you want the people perceive your voice. And I believe that the first guy, if I can say guy, but he's a man, that opened up this kind of possibility for us, for all the designers, was Philip Stark. Before Philip Stark, designers was someone that designed object and was the object that talked. And the company that produced the object was since Philip Stark, he became in a way also the face that was behind the product.
Yes. I arrived at the Casino store and immediately felt something different. In a world where most design brands are going monochrome because it's easier to sell, Casino refuses. Every room is a different color world and somehow they all belong together. Most brands remove color because they are afraid of commitment. Casino treats color as conviction, and right now, when everything around us is becoming flatter and more neutral, a brand that insists on keeping color alive feels almost like an act of resistance. And what I respect about Casino is that they keep exploring beyond furniture. Most brands are afraid to step outside because the risk is real and the execution is hard. But the ones that do are not building a product line, they are building a universe. came to Casa Tacchini to experience Fay Too Good. She took Tacchini's own offcuts, scraps, and raw materials from their archive and turned them into sculptures. Nothing imported. Everything already belonged to the brand. She made it visible. That is a designer who listens before she speaks. We ended up at Bar Paradiso for a proper Milanese afternoon, a natural wine bar with knowledge that doesn't exist online. They introduced us to Ferla by Manfredi Franco, a Sicilian lawyer who left everything to make wine, a brand story that traces back to a mysterious winemaker named Thomas Poppi. You only find stories like this when the right person pulls for you.
The farm is in Montalcino, but the vineyard is in Monte Amiata, so it's a more fresh zone, and the wine is more crunchy, it's more mineral. Trebbiano is a little fruit in this case, but it's very, very easy to drink, very deep, vertical, and so nice experience of white wine in Tuscany. We are in Sicily. Catarato grape is a semi-aromatic wine, so it's a little bit fruity than this, and this is an amazing project because he traveled from Sicily to French in Jura, and he go to a very, very famous, not famous, but rare producer of Jura, is Thomas Poppi. He buy his bench, okay, and he come back in Sicily with the bench, and the wine, they put his wine in the bench of Thomas Poppi. So it's crazy because it's very similar to Jura stuff, so it's a little bit smooth, a little bit not oxidative style, but it's very, very Jura stuff, okay, and this is an amazing project and an amazing wine, and Manfredi is an amazing person.
Had to ask, what is natural wine really?
And that started in the last 5 years. I'm happy because if there is more natural wine, it's better for the earth. Look the color, amazing. It's like gold.
Yes.
This was one of my favorite Milanese afternoons. I met wonderful people just by sitting outside. Afterwards, we arrived at Fiorin Fiorello, a listening bar I had been curious about for a while. I met the founder, who showed me their newly released record. Then he played the hidden gems of Italo disco. I grew up listening to these sounds as a teenager in Istanbul. One day I will dedicate a whole episode to this world. I like arriving at Salone del Mobile early on first day to avoid the crowds. We started our tour at the Italian radical design section. This year, Gufram, Memphis, and Mary Italia came together under one roof to show what radical design looks like when it lives inside a home. And right there, I found Fay Too Good with her new Crease collection for Mary Italia. We were lucky enough to say hello and ask her one question about AI and the future of creativity.
I believe that design is an act of care, so I think about design in terms of humans and human beings and what we need in terms of furniture, because we certainly don't need to reinvent anything. We have everything we need, but I think we still need to feel inspired, we still need to feel comforted, we still need a sanctuary, we still need a place that can take us into the future. And I'll be doing that without technology as much as possible. I'm interested in the handmade, I'm interested in expression and gesture, and it's not that I'm anti-technology, but I just know that designers are going to take one of two directions, and I'll be taking the direction towards the human-made and using that with more expression.
I already admired her work, but after that answer, she became one of my love brands. I am on Team Human. Design was made for us, not the other way around. I want to introduce you to Bitossi, family-owned, 4th generation, same building since 1921, over 100 years, and they never left ceramics, never expanded into furniture, never chased a bigger category, just clay, glaze and hands. The best designers in the world came to this workshop because the craft was that deep. In a world that tells every brand to scale wider, Bitossi scaled deeper. And then Sitco. If marble had a recovance, this is it. You will never expect a brand dedicated only to stone to be this experimental. Zaha Hadid worked exclusively with them for 3 years. Every piece is carved from a single block. They prove that building a brand on one material and refusing to leave it is one of the most refreshing things you can see in brand building today. This year I went deeper into Edra, and the more I learned, the more fascinated I became. Their furniture looks like it arrived from the future, but it sits inside rooms painted 400 years ago, and somehow nothing fights, everything belongs. Their founder, Valerio Mazzei, once called their pieces spaceships. Spaceships inside a Renaissance palace. That is Edra. Most Italian brands are stuck in one direction, either too deep in the nostalgia of the past or too obsessed with the future that they forget where they came from. Edra found the balance, past and future, inside the same room. And for me, that made them the best experience at Salone del Mobile this year. Back in the city for an aperitivo at Saint Ambrose. 90 years old this year. One of those Milanese institutions that somehow made it from a neighborhood pasticceria to New York, Paris and the Hamptons without losing what it made it special. The minute I walked in, I met the younger generation running the brand. He took us downstairs to see how everything is still made fresh every day. On the way down, he said, "I know you will appreciate seeing this." That one sentence told me everything about him. He understood that the process is the brand. I admired his energy completely.
So it's great. We're very
Your energy.
Thank you, man.
Your
I appreciate
energy.
it.
Really smells amazing.
Whoa.
Fresh chocolate.
You smell it?
The smell is
Smells
like,
well?
yes. After all the breaks, we finally arrived at Studio's private apartment, an independent Milanese duo founded just 6 years ago. The moment I walked in, I felt like I was inside a film scene. One room, alabaster walls glowing, a reflective black floor, a 17th century painting next to a Japanese wooden crab. Everything frozen, like a single camera shot that never moves. 6 a.m. This was the most talked about show of the entire week. Founded in 2018 by two young creatives, Eduardo and Francesco. The name comes from when the furnaces in Murano wake up, 6 in the morning, a 700-year-old ritual, but there is nothing traditional about how they operate. New York Times called their attitude punk. They don't show in galleries. They take over abandoned swimming pools and fill them with glass. They choose the hardest material in the world to build a brand around, Murano glass. You cannot automate it. Every piece comes out of a furnace at 6 in the morning, shaped by hand, unrepeatable. And they turn that constraint into the entire identity of the brand. Repetition is not replication. Every gesture produces a difference. That is their philosophy and their brand DNA in one sentence. After having the best matcha I have tasted in Milano, we arrived at the B&B Italia exhibition on Via Durini. 60 years of the brand's history, created by Gianluigi and designed by Forma Fantasma. And what struck me wasn't the furniture, it was the advertising. Their campaigns from the 70s and 80s were bold, clever, full of ideas. And then I thought about how most furniture brands communicate today. A 3D render of a sofa on a white background. No concept, no story, no personality. Seeing what B&B Italia was doing 50 years ago made me realize how much we have lost. Finally, we arrived at one of Milano's true hidden gems. The kind of place only the real ones know. Savoia and Moroni. William Savoia left Beirut during the Civil War and moved to Italy. He met Paolo Moroni almost by accident. Neither of them came from furniture, and that freedom became their entire advantage. Since 1984, they have worked with Jean Nouvel, Daniel Libeskind, David Adjaye, Ettore Sotsas. We came to meet Paolo, and within seconds we were captivated by his charm and knowledge. The minute he learned we were from Istanbul, his eyes changed. He started telling us about his personal friendship with Zaha Hadid, how they both fell in love with Istanbul together on a trip in the early 2000s, and how during that trip, Zaha showed him furniture sketches she had never shown anyone else. That private moment became the beginning of one of the most important collaborations in modern design. And now those pieces live here. The tipi chair, the Z chair, her very last design before she passed. Then we arrived at Plan C Framework for a cocktail evening celebrating the creative core by Carolina Castiglioni. But the reason I came was because of one name, Sarah Endelman, the woman who co-founded Colette in Paris. When I was in my early 20s, I used to visit Colette every year, and every visit felt like walking through a living brand textbook. Fashion, art, design, food, all curated with a unique attitude that changed how I understood branding forever. Colette closed in 2017, but Sarah never stopped. Here, she created the Red Staircase, and standing in front of it took me right back to those Paris years, and the years that made me who I am as a brand builder.
Come to Paris.
And of course we run into Ali Reza, the face of Saint Ambrose. Mogo was the unexpected discovery of this trip. A listening bar in Isola, inside a former brewery. The chef is Yoji Tokuyoshi, a student of Massimo Bottura, who gave up his Michelin star to build something on his own terms. The food was the best I have had in any listening bar. The space, designed by Giorgia Longoni, felt so considered that I sat there wishing I lived in Milano just to come back here every week. The next day started at Pasticceria Cookie, founded in 1936. This year, Marni took over the entire space for 3 months. Every detail is redesigned. Every cup, every sugar packet, every uniform. While waiting for our table, I walk inside. The original art deco is still breathing. The old photographs on the walls, the mirrors, the counters, and layered on top of all of that, Marnie's red and green palette running through everything like a second skin. We sat outside for breakfast and I remembered why mornings like this are the whole point of being in Milan. A cappuccino in a hand-painted Marnie cup. Pastries from a counter that has been serving them for 90 years. The sun hitting the table at the right angle. I will say it again. If your morning in Milano does not start in a place like this, you have not visited Milano. This is not a restaurant recommendation. This is a cultural requirement. Next, we arrived at Alcoa. After 5 years of coming to Milano, this was my first time here. I don't know why it took me so long. This year felt like it set the standard for everything that comes next. What makes Alcoa different from anything else in the design world is simple. It celebrates the unknown. Young designers, no-name studios, independent voices with no backing, no connections, no safety net. In a world where only the biggest brands get the biggest stages, Alcoa builds a stage for everyone else. This year, they took over an abandoned military hospital and gave it to emerging designers. That decision alone tells you everything about what Alcoa believes in. I will let the design speak for itself now. Just watch. On the way out, I noticed Le Labo, a brand I normally walk past anywhere in the world. But here, parked in the garden of an abandoned military hospital, it stopped me. Most brands today forget that where you show up says more than what you say. Inside Alcoa, I found a brand that makes sound isolation panels.
Italiani, ce ne sono una cinquantina di...
Industries to make something which was always bad because
But their music selection taught me more about them than their product ever could. They were playing Zelda next to Noi, krautrock and Turkish psychedelic rock in the same room. That playlist alone was a brand statement. While walking out, I realized visiting Alcoa was one of my best mornings in Milan. Back in the city, I arrived at Interni Venosta, a never-before-seen apartment designed by Osvaldo Borsani in 1947, opened to the public for the first time. Here is where the story connects. Interni Venosta is founded by Emiliano and Britt, the same minds behind the More Gallery. The same philosophy I spoke about earlier, curation as brand building. Walking through this apartment was not like visiting an exhibition, it was like entering someone's private memory. While running to our last gathering, a window full of flowers stopped me. Something pulled me inside before I could think about it, and I was right. 1886.
Yes, but during the Second World War, there was we was near, but so we arrived here after the
Wow.
So it's the same.
The oldest flower shop in Milano right now?
I think, but I don't really know. I think in Italy, but I don't know.
Which one is here?
On the left.
On the left?
Yeah.
He's rockstar.
Yeah, he was a real rock star.
Yeah.
Everybody know my grandfather.
Yeah? So cool.
He teach the other florist.
Really?
Yeah.
I asked him, in a city with this many parks, why are there so few flower shops? It's not many, right?
Now not, but he told me that when he began here in the, I think, 30s, there was an 8 flower shop in this Monte Napoleone, in this area. 8. And I show you those times.
Yeah.
The best part is
Really?
yeah.
Hello. Buongiorno. This is the coolest shop in Milano.
I don't know.
It is.
Two guys. It's a family shop, so we're driving with that.
Is this one of the oldest shop in Milano, in flower shop right now?
So as a flower shop, I believe yes, but as a shop in general, it's one of the oldest. Yes, started from the 86. So as a physical place, probably is not the oldest at all in all Italy. But
We learned you guys found this place after Second World War, right? Second World
yes,
War. Yeah.
it was because of the after the war, because the first one got damaged. The building got damaged. For what you know, we was able to take this one and make it as he wanted, because this shop has been designed from Guglielmo Ulrich.
We finally arrived at our last stop, the Gilles Sander Reference Library celebration inside their shop. The energy of the place was enough. Just being around of people who care about the same things elevates something in you. I think that is a spiritual thing. Inside I spotted Scott Schumann, the sartorialist. He was one of my earliest inspirations. If anyone today shares a Fashion Week photo on Instagram, they owe something to this man. I told him that we need to appreciate true creators more often. This was one of my best community experiences I had during the Milan Design Week this year. Thank you, Gilles Sander, for this. We walked to 10 Corso Como to celebrate the end of the Design Week with one of our clients. Carlo Sozani opened this place in 1990 inside a converted garage. She wanted to build a living magazine. Gallery, bookshop, cafe, garden, fashion, design, all in one space. Many people call it the world's first concept store. I mentioned Sarah Endelman and Colette earlier in this film. This is where that idea was born. And the food was so good, I forgot to film it. Then I remembered something. Design Week was never about objects. It was always about people. When you spend a week surrounded by other people's creations, something shifts inside you. You start seeing beauty in everything. That is what design does when you let it in. It becomes a spiritual act. I made this film to share that feeling with you. I hope it inspires you to start the brand you dream about, to do the things you keep postponing, and to wake up tomorrow looking for beautiful things.